Hi everybody, this is Sally on Camp Creek, and today I am crafting. Actually, I am going to crochet today. That's my plan. I want to get several rows down on my shawl that is going to be so pretty, and then I need to put some rows in my rose trellis. I need to put rows in my rose trellis Afghan. Um, and I have a scarf that I need to do some knitting on. But today I started a patch on a pair of jeans. They're on the table cooling. I put some some stiffening. Actually, I put a patch on the hole on the inside, and my plan is to reinforce that with some good strong zigzag thread stitching on the machine, and then trim away what's not showing, what's not stitched. I don't know if it'll work or not, but that's my plan, Stan. More about that later. Anyway, it's Monday. It's the 10th of June, and I have some iced tea over here that the ice melted. I have glare from my window coming in on my face that I can't fix because the curtain got knocked down, and I have to figure out how to fix the place that the curtain got knocked down at. So then I can put the rod up. It's going to have to be reinforced or something. So anyway, it just is what it is, right? And so we have a little glare. Makes me show my age better, right? So that's probably okay. Anyway, welcome to my little yarny corner where I talk to myself and a couple people who check in on me. And I crochet and knit and do some other things. Sometimes some spinning, but not for a while. Sometimes some sewing, but my last attempt was just a terrible, terrible blunder. But I know what I did wrong. And talk about my chickens and my grandkids and what's going on the farm. So anyway, that's me. And today I want to show you something really cute that my granddaughter made. Isn't this cute? She made this. Isn't that the, look at the ties on the shoes and the nose and the nostrils and the mouth and the eyeglasses. I think it might be a picture of me. I'm not sure. Her lips are better than mine. I don't have good lips. Anyway, Kendall made that. So very cute. So proud of her. I have 6 grandkids, and every one of them is artistic. I don't know where they got that, but every one of them. The oldest boy is a sculptor. He also does cartoons. The second boy does cartoons, and he likes to do sculpting too. And they do all kinds of crafts. And my oldest granddaughter is a painter, and she has been working with modeling clay. She likes to draw and paint, sketch, anything crafty. The second one obviously likes to scratch and or all kinds of crafty stuff, scissors. And the little one, she loves to color. And the boy from the bottom, somewhere in there, the third boy, he likes to tinker with his hands and make things and do things with the computer game. He was making a game the other night he was showing me. And he likes to draw and make things. I think one day he will be a model maker because he likes to make things with the Legos and you know, this sort of stuff. So they're all crafty. They're all crafty. And they kind of, a couple of them, some of them, have attempted knitting and crochet. And that is so much fun. and they were too small, I took them to Walmart and had them pick out some yarn and some needles. They had one at that time, not Walmart, but Hobby Lobby had these kids needles, and they were real cute, and they were like different colors, so they could kind of differentiate between which needle they were supposed to be using, and they were really cute. They had different tops on them, and so cute. And we got those, and they were flexible, and we let him pick out yarn. My oldest grandson always, always, always picked out light blue yarn, which is kind of funny to this day. I think he likes that color. The next grandson always, 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 always picked out yellow. Always yellow. To this day, yellow. Now the girls, they have picked yarn out, and the younger boy has picked yarn out. The younger boy, when he picked out yarn, he always picked out like brown, tan, dark blue, real boy colors. And the girls are just all over the place. Their favorite person right now, her favorite color is green. So now their favorite color is green. So no green yarn is safe in my house from those girls. They acquire it. And I've never told them no unless I had yarn saved for something specific, or I knew it was going to be too frustrating, because I just don't want to be the grandma that always says no, you know. So if I have it and it's within my ability to let them use it or whatever, I don't care. And so, and I want them to be excited about fiber arts. I like that word. It makes us feel smart, right? And so I don't usually tell them no. I remember a time when I didn't let my granddaughter have sharp, pointy metal needles, though, because I was afraid she would run with them. So I had rubbery needles. I had these needles that were not sharp, they were blunt, and I let her use those. But now she's graduated to good, pointy bamboo needles, which she borrows from me and then loses. And then I go back to Joann's and buy 2 or 3 more pair. So I have them. I don't get to Joann's very often, so it's okay. And I have a lot of those, because at one time my daughter found a sale of all these Takomi clover needles. So those are my favorite, mostly like for that kind of a thing. And she bought them, and they were like $1 a pair. If you can even imagine, this is part of those. And I wrote on the bottoms, or these may have been some of my sisters, because there's a size 9 written on the bottom, because she probably could never find where it was written on the needle. Right there, I think. Anyway, so they have those on them. But this one is an 8, rather. It's a 5mm. Oh, guess what? I have knitted this whole scarf with 1 8 and 1 9. I have some vision trouble, which no one believes because it's not real apparent. And people are always like wanting me to drive somewhere. I'm going, well, okay, no, can't do that. But anyway, so that's probably what that problem is there. But I've had no trouble with it, so it's okay. But I got a whole bunch of those, and I just gave them to everybody because I really wanted to have a lot of people who were knitters in my life, because I didn't really have anybody. And my sister knitted. Actually, we always crocheted from the time we were little, because Mama crocheted. She made all kinds of things. One year she made everybody and their dog the most beautiful Aran weight shawl, absolutely with fringe like that long on it. So pretty. And I loved mine, and I wore mine. And I don't know if the other people she made them for ever wore them, because I don't remember ever seeing them. But my sister lived in another state, so she might have wore hers. My older sister. Anyway, I wore that thing. I just loved it. And somebody spilt hot chocolate on it at a church gathering. So I brought it home, and it was acrylic. It was Red Heart. It was going to wash. I put it in the washing machine, and it washed fine. And I put it in the dryer, because you can put Red Heart in your dryer. Well, I had a propane heated dryer, and I think it had some problems, and it melted my beautiful shell shawl. And this was a shell, kind of like the shells on a virus shell, but this was called I think it was a fan, more of a fan. And she didn't have a pattern. She saw a picture and went home and made 14 of them, you know. She could do that. And so it had the arch with the chain stitching, and then it had a row of shell of double crochet, and another and another, and it had like 6 rows of double crochet. So these fans were like yay deep, you know. And it was really big. It was actually oversized. It was probably too big for me, but I loved it, and I loved the fact that it was really big. And I melted it, and I was so upset. And I think my mom might have been upset because she never got mad about anything. She was always easy going. She'd do anything for anybody, but she absolutely refused to make me another one because I had melted that one. She would not make me one. And I mean, I tried for years to talk her into making me one. She made all kinds of other things, but she would not make me one. And I know, looking back, it makes sense to me. You know, I should have thought better. I should have not put that in the dryer, because she would not have put it in the dryer. She would have laid it out on the bed underneath, you know, on top of a blanket. She'd have got a different blanket down, put it on the bed, laid it out, let it dry for 2 days. With a fan on it, maybe. But I did not do that. I threw it in the dryer. Thought I could get away with it. And we had trouble with that dryer, and I think it's a wonder it didn't burn the house down. Anyway, we got robbed and someone stole it, so is their problem now? Anyway, that was 40 years ago. Oh my goodness, no, that wasn't. Yeah, that was about 40 years ago. 42. That would have been in 82. So whatever that is. 92. Yeah. Anyway, long time. Anyway, so I've always liked that pattern though. But Mom could do that. She was crafty. But she did not knit. She could knit, but she didn't like knitting. So she did not teach us to knit, but she taught us to crochet. And she taught everyone to crochet. My sister crocheted. My sister made beautiful things. My older sister. My younger sister, I don't know if she ever crocheted, or if she does to this day. She lives away, and I don't really have a lot of contact with her. Periodically I do. But then I don't. So anyway, but I would guess that she crochets. I'm not 100% sure. It's amazing the people that you find out that do, that you didn't know did. And then later you find out they did. My grandmother crocheted. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think she did anything at all like that. She was an artist, and she painted, and she like sold art. And one time she made these baby blankets. I think she maybe made me one when I had my son. And I didn't even know she knew how to do that. It was amazing to find that out about her. And she cooked. I never knew that she cooked, but she came to see us after I was married, and she liked my husband. She just liked him for some reason. And she said, I really like you, you know. So she cooked for him, and she made him sweet and sour ribs. And they were really good. So go figure. You just never know about people. You think you know them, and then you find these things out later, right? So anyway, crafting runs in the family, and I think it runs in everybody's family. I think what we call crafting now, other people called survival skills. You know, people sewed. They didn't think of themselves as a seamstress. They thought of themselves as a mother who had to have a dress for an event at school next week. So you made one, you know, or you can just go buy another pair of pants. So you learned to patch. And that's like an art form, considered like an artsy thing to do in some places now, which is kind of crazy. Even quilting, you know, we made lots of quilts, and we tied them, and sometimes we quilted them, but usually we tied them because that was fast. And you were making a heavy quilt because you needed a heavy quilt because it was winter and you needed a quilt, you know. So we didn't call ourselves quilters. We just, whatever. And you know, all the survival people that put up food and all that, like, I didn't know that people didn't do that exactly, because my mom had a farm mentality even when we didn't live on a farm. And she always made jelly and canned food and canned stuff and preserved things, and saved stuff back and didn't throw away the extra screws because we needed them, you know. And now, like, people do that and they have whole, you know, businesses to help you put up stuff for hard times. Well, that's what we did all the time. My mom had a case of something under the bed all the time. Peaches, or a lot of times it was canned peaches. I don't know why. Or, but it might be pineapple, but canned corn from the store. She also canned herself. But when stuff was cheap, she would buy a case of it and she would stick it somewhere because, you know, she remembered going days on end and just eating potatoes. And it was nice to have a little variety. So she had stuff stuck back. One time she bought me a case of peaches on sale, and I had them at my house in my bedroom closet. And I think my husband thought that was really strange, but I didn't have anywhere else to put them. Anyway, we got robbed. We got robbed. That was another time we got robbed. Goodness. And they stole my case of peaches, and that's how I could tell someone had been in my house. Was I went to get something out of the closet and that case of peaches wasn't there. And I thought, someone has been in here. Then we got to looking around and they had stolen all kinds of things. But what they didn't steal was my crocheted baby blanket I was working on. They did not take that. And that was a good thing because that was the prettiest blanket. It was made out of very tiny baby yarn, usually reserved for booties. And I got this yarn on sale at Walmart, and they were little bitty balls like this. And I bought a whole bunch of them. Had a baby blanket I needed to make. Pardon me. And so it was going to be, you know, back then we made baby blankets and they looked like baby blankets. Pastels, you know, white, cream, but almost always white and not cream. Yellow and green, you know. And if you didn't know if you were having a boy or girl, so you might throw in, you know, generally it would be yellow, blue, baby blue, green, and white, green, blue, yeah, all those baby colors, and maybe pink. Because if you put a little pink and a little blue in it, it didn't matter if it was a boy. You know, we didn't care. Peach. And so this was all those colors. It was all the pastel. Blue and green and white and cream, or yellow and peach. Blue and green and white and yellow and peach. And pink. Had pink and peach in it, which is weird. But and it was little tiny granny squares. And when they were done, they were only about this, about yay big, about like that. Smaller than the palm of your, maybe the palm of your hand, right there. And I had made, I was going to have to like have 300 of them or something to make the size that I wanted. 200 maybe. I can't remember. It was a large amount. And I had made most of them. Almost done with them. And we didn't have any money. It was a sacrifice to go buy yarn for a baby blanket. And I don't know if it was for my niece or for someone, my husband had a friend who had a baby. I don't remember. And we went up the road to a horse auction. And I always took my handwork. And we were sitting up there at this horse goat auction. And there was a cowboy right behind me. And like this place still is in existence, mind you. I believe it's the Rocky Auction. I think it's still around. Someone told me a few years ago it was still there. It was tiny. It was tiny. Even then it was really tiny. And they were selling horses and tack. And we were there, and I was crocheting my little blocks. And somebody behind me had a bottle of Coke. I believe it was Coca-Cola. It was pop. And he kicked it over, and it poured down into my work bag and all over those pastel blocks. And I was just kind of sick over it, but they were very sorry, and I understood, and it was okay. It was very crowded in there, and it was not smart of me to take a pastel thing to work on at a place like that. So anyway, I I took them home. I told them it's fine. It washed. It was all right. It was red heart. It's going to wash. It'll be fine. Took it home. I put it in my wash machine, and lo and behold, every bit of that washed out of that pastel. I just put the blocks in there. I put a little tiny amount of soap in it, and I turned it on gentle, and I just washed them. And every bit of that was clean, except I had used a new method of tying all those little strings. It had become popular not to make knots in your work. Maybe I had become aware that it wasn't acceptable to put knots in your work. So I had done something else. I don't remember what it was, but it did not involve a knot. It wasn't a Russian join because I didn't know about that then, but it was some kind of a weaving thing. And every bit of that came undone. Every block had a spot that came undone. And I think it was mostly the centers. I don't know what I had done, but it was wrong. I was so upset. I didn't know what to do. All that money, because it was a lot of money to me, to us. We were all poor, I gathered it all up, and I laid it out on a towel on the bed, and I let it dry, and I thought I could tie it all back together, but then I would have knots in my work, right? I was just devastated. My husband come home, and he said, just throw it away. Don't worry about that. We'll get you some different yarn. And so I let it dry. I couldn't throw it away because it's not like in my genetics to throw anything away. Thus, it's obvious. So I did get some different yarn, and this time I didn't get little bitty thread type yarn. I got probably maybe a double weight, and I made something totally, completely different. But I had that yarn, and I was at a ladies' meeting at church, and I mentioned it, and I was just sick about it because people are always saying, well, did you finish that blanket you were making? Whatever. And so I told one of the girls who was pregnant, I said, I told my sad story of woe, and they're like, I want it, I'll take your strings. You didn't throw them away, did you? And I said, no, I still have it. Anyway, I took that to her. She tied that together, and it made like a variegated yarn out of it. And she tied it together with a knot. Every little bit, had a knot in it. And she made the prettiest baby blanket for her baby out of that. It was so pretty. It was just a plain stitch, but it had all the colors in it. And she just put them all together, and in, I don't think, any certain order. And it was so pretty. She really made something out of it. Now, I wouldn't have not been able to do that because I was so upset and irritated at myself because they all fell apart that I didn't even want to look at it again. I was done. I did not want to look at it again. I didn't use that little bitty thread for a long time after that. And when I did, I tied it in a knot. But it had a little bit of a sheen to it. And now thinking back, knowing now, it probably had some nylon, polyester, something that made that slick and further aggravated that tendency to come undone. It had a sparkly thread through it. So anyway, yes, that has haunted me. And I tend to put knots in things because I'm like, well, people say, oh, you put a knot in it. It's like when you quilt. If you put a knot in that, you're going to get a hole where that knot's at. That might be true. But honestly, the stuff that I make somebody's dog is going to eat it before it ever wears out. It's going to get left in a car that they've sold in an auction. It's going to be used to cover somebody up in a car wreck, and you're never going to see it again. It's going to, it's going to be caught in the door when you're driving away from church and get home. All of these things have happened. So I just put knots in them. That way I don't have to worry after I give something away that it's gone through the washer and died somewhere in the process. Not bad knots. I'll do where you knot two sides and pull and you get the smaller little knot. I've done that. I also have done a Russian join where you stitch it in. I've done that. But sometimes I tie like a doctor's knot and I go on. Sometimes I do. So anyway, yes. So this week I have gotten some work done. You know, last time I talked to you, I had bought that Rena's yarn off the internet that Bag O' Day was talking about. I bought that. I don't ever buy yarn, but I bought that. Let me show you. Now this is my yarn. And as you can see, it is decompressing. I am pulling from the center, so it's getting small. But I'm finally out of the charcoal color and I'm into the very beginning of the green, the first green that's dark, very dark green. And I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't because I can barely see it. Just barely against that white wall, maybe. It is really going to be pretty, I think. This is a virus shawl. Everybody makes a virus shawl. This is one of my favorite shawls to bead because there's so many beautiful opportunities for bead placement. The charcoal is really, I don't want the charcoal to overtake it. I should have probably started at a different point so that I wouldn't have so much. But now that the green is working in, the little green thread has started, I think that the end result is going to be very nice. And this charcoal color has a hint of, it's kind of it's a charcoal with a black thread at the top, and then you get less and less of the black, and then you begin to get the green, and then and the charcoal kind of becomes secondary. It's hard to see, but you can kind of see the green in it. Anyway, I think it's going to be really pretty. Working with this thread, I'm going to call it thread. It is considered a yarn, but it is very thread-like. Actually, what it reminds me of is ribbon. And as you can see, which you probably can't see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, like 8 ply there. And I'm at a place where there's 1 black, there's like 2 green, and the rest are the gray, the charcoal gray. And it's very flat. It works really well to crochet with, but you have to be very aware of splitting. And I have some split places in it. But when I wash it and block it, I think all of those will kind of vanish into the work. I started out with a G hook, like a 4.5, and now I've transitioned to an H, a 5 millimeter, an 8, because I find when I do this pattern, I like the top part. I just like to start with a smaller hook. I don't know, and then it lends itself to blossoming. So you can move up a stitch size without getting a ruffle or a needle size. And that just kind of, so the idea being you have a little sturdier top up here, and then when you switch sizes, it tends to just open the stitches up, and so it progressively gets more lacy. I won't move a size. I'll stay with this size. And then sometimes you get up, you can see the green, sometimes can't you? Now I think very soon that green is going to really become evident. I have 2 of these. I didn't need 2 of these, but my idea was I might want to darker green, or maybe even the lighter green. I might want to have that color specifically for like the border piece, if I do a border. So I bought two. And I have enjoyed working with it. This is a really nice pattern for watching TV. And you can watch, a Chinese costume drama and read the subtitles because you don't really have to watch. Although people say when you crochet, you have to pay attention, you have to watch your work. I don't find that I do. Once I know the pattern, I do it by feel. And some of that's because I don't have real good eyesight, maybe, and so I've just kind of learned to do that. But I mashed my finger in the door. Yes, I did. And it pulled something in my hand, and my hand keeps going to sleep while I'm working. Although my finger's better, my hand is very tingly all the time. Should I put my work down? Probably, but will I? Probably not. No, probably not. So here's where I'm at on this. Yes, very, very little progress. Since I decided that this didn't match my room, I have been less inspired to work on it. But I'm thinking that I may give it to my sister-in-law because it looks like her to me. And that has made me want to pick it up. Now it's out here so that I have to pick it up because I need to look at it and do it. That's made with Red Heart Ombre in, I used cocoa, apple, that's the green, and then the two colors, burgundy and rose, I believe. What's the name of that one? Jazzy, not rose. I think years ago that particular pink was called rose, and I get it mixed up. So I'll get that done, and then I can gift it, and it will be gone out of my house. Although I'll put something else in that basket, and I'll have another project sitting there for sure. So I wanted to finish this scarf. This is I made a promise to myself that I would use up the yarn that my daughter bought me at that garage sale, some really nice yarn. And so I've been working on that. And this is some of that yarn. It's kind of crazy. There were 4 skeins of this Liberty wool in this purple here, and then this multicolored. And the multicolored stops right about, let's see, here. And the new multicolored starts. So there was a lot of this purpley gray, or it's a kind of a dark, it's not all purple, it's kind of a dark gray, blackish color. It's really not black, it's more of a gray in there. And then it's going into that gold. So from here to here was one of those skeins there. Somewhere in here, about there. So this is going to be twice this long, so it'll be plenty long. Now, I had 4. I had 2 of the multicolored ones. And see, that's even got some green in it, you can tell. And then I had 2 of these purpley colored ones, this grape color. So I'm going to put the grape on the end because I think when you wear it, I generally wear mine like this and through, I think that will look best. And I probably will keep this for myself. So it's very soft and mushy. It's Liberty wool. It's about, I think the date was 2005, maybe 2004, early 2000s, I think. And she paid $9 a skein for these. So this might have been, there was yarn in there as late as the early 2000s, and then clear up until like, I don't know, there were some dates that were only 10 years old. So a few things. So I believe this is some of the oldest though, and it is still really, really nice. It feels really nice. And it's washable wool made in Italy, Liberty wool. And this one doesn't have a date on it, but I think the packaging, like the store receipt, had a date. And this still had the receipt with it, I believe. So she paid about $9 a skein or a ball for this. This is the last one. Here's my bit that I have left. And I'm using my Tacomis, like I said. One is a 9 and one is an 8. So that's that little project. I've been mostly crocheting on my scarf. I don't know if you guys saw, but the yarnery, Secret Yarnery, Krista, I love her. She had a little bolero type-ish cardigan thing, and I want to make that. But I don't know, in my attempt at finishing, using up the yarn from the garage sale, I want to keep a project out of that yarn going all the time. And I think that's the next one I'm going to do, if I have enough and the right stuff. Now I've thought about this. I thought about doing stripes out of these colors, because this is that from the garage sale yarn. And it's a charcoal colored, kind of variegated, and orange, and a really pretty blue. I don't know if these are my colors, but it's the colors I have. And this is Malabrigo, I believe is what that says. In Rios Pure Merino Superwash. Made in Peru. Let me see. I think it's, yes. Here it says. Malabrigoyarn.com. Okay, so I have 3 of these. And I don't know, that is kind of a quarter length jacket. And it's a bit shorter, which I don't know if that's something that I can wear or not. I don't know, but I think this is enough. I was going to look up and see what the specifics on that were. This would be 630 yards, and I feel like that would be enough, unless, and I could possibly add something to it out of my garage sale stash, because I believe there's some more of this weight. This is an Aran weight. Well, somewhere a light Aran weight, I would say. Rio means river in Spanish. Malabrigo Rios is named after the 4 major rivers in Uruguay. Rio Curium, Rio Uruguay, Rio de la Plata, and Rio Negro. Each river is represented by 1 ply. These plies twist together like winding rivers. Rios also signifies the yarn's washability. For millennia, rivers have provided water for washing garments. That's interesting. She paid $14.40 for these 3 skeins. And they're very pretty. It's very pretty yarn. It feels pretty. I'm excited to work with it. I should knit it so it would stretch a bit more, but I want to crochet it. And I think I want to make that crocheted cardigan that Krista just put out. I think she has a tutorial for it. I think it's a hexagon. Now sometimes when I do colors like that, I don't particularly like a hexagon striped on me, although I've done it. I was looking for a date. Let's see. My Lord in heaven, she spent $118 that day. Oh my goodness, you know my husband would have passed out if I'd ever spent $118 on yarn. Oh my goodness. But it's just the difference in, where you are economically in the world, what you can afford, right? And I'm benefiting from it. It came from a garage sale. And this was in a bag, so um, she made this, she made a bunch of this because there was only these 3 in the bag, and then the yarn that I made the Coat of Many Colors shawl out of. So, um, it's not like she bought this stuff and then didn't use it. Some of this was not found. Therefore, that leads me to conclude. And she bought this in 2015. I finally found it, January, March, April of 2015. Isn't that interesting? Almost 10 years. And it still feels lovely. It still feels nice. So that's the next thing I'm contemplating making. Also, this came out of that garage sale yarn. I have 4 skeins. She paid $13.95 for these. I like the way that's woven. It's 100% merino, and there's 4 of them. 2 of them in a pink kind of base, and 2 of them in kind of a peachy, earthy base. I don't know what to do with these. Somebody said socks, 50 grams each. Could be, but they're gonna wear out because they're such fine merino, such real soft. And the brand on this is, this came from Sealed with a Kiss, either in Oklahoma City or in Edmond, Oklahoma. Because that's where that place is at. Kayagoo wool, made in Canada. Yep. It's got the dye lot and everything. So I don't know. I don't know. Hats. Most probably. I'm used to make fingerling gloves, but I don't know about that with this. I love, you know, fingerless gloves. Fingerlings, we call them. Probably the wrong name. There's several names people use. So I want to do that up because that's real pretty. But I'm thinking this Malabrago, or however you say it, would make an excellent little jacket thing. And that's a real cute pattern. I didn't mention I've been using my tulip hook, and you see how discolored that is? I don't know. I just noticed that today. I don't know. It could be that I had some dye on my hand from some yarn I was using, and it discolored it. I don't know. The others are not discolored. And this is not necessarily the hook that I use the most out of that set. I do like this set a lot, but since my hand was going to sleep and tingling for a week, I thought maybe I needed to forego the smaller needles and go to something with a handle. And also I dropped my hook somewhere and couldn't find it. Not that that's a problem. I only have 300 or 400 of them. And the only other thing I've been doing is I've been trying to help my granddaughter with her stitching. So we started, this is a giant pot holder. It's way too big. And this is some peaches and cream that I bought at that 100 Mile garage sale. I bought a whole cone of it. It's rolled under the couch so you can't see it, but it's a whole cone. And it's in that cotton. And this is such a good thing for people to start out with, you know. It's such a good sturdy yarn, and it's not expensive, and they can make something useful. And this is that where you make a chain as long as you want. You go back. I like to go directly back into, not into the chain, but kind of around the stitch. So this had like however many, 30 I think, or something. I can't remember what number it was. Then I just turned around without making any extra turn stitches, and begin crocheting back. And then you just keep going in a circle. Because you're not adding stitches, it begins to curl. And it'll curl and curl and curl and curl until it closes up on itself. So your pot holder, or whatever you want to use it for, will be whatever size you started square. And they're really, really nice to make them oversized so that you can set your hot pot on your table. So anyway, we started that so that she could practice her stitching, because she wants to do, I have some of those little amigurumi kits that I've worked on. I made the bunny, I showed you that, and I have some of those, and she's desperate to get into that and make one. So she got them out, and I knew she couldn't do it. She doesn't have the, she hasn't done it enough. She's not practiced enough to make those little tight stitches. So we were practicing. She did try, and she's like, oh, so we pulled that out, and we're going to practice on that for a little bit and get her fingers more limber. Anyway, that's all I'm working on. It is Monday, and I have a lot to do, but I don't want to do any of it. I'm going to finish patching the jeans over there. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to crochet a little bit. I am going to do that. But I kind of have a headache day a little bit, and my eyes are not very good today, so that's my excuse for sitting in my chair. Everyone needs a reason to sit in their chair, right? So that's my reason. And I just don't plan on doing much except some laundry, which is going, run my vacuum cleaner and clean up a little bit around here. And I need to go work in the chicken pen, but I don't want to, so I probably won't. But I need to. I need to put some hay in there. I was going to do that a couple days ago, but it rained and the hay was wet, so I didn't do it yet. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I hope you all have just a week where you can stay in stitches and enjoy your family and just enjoy life. Try to find something enjoyable about it, even if it's difficult. We have so many blessings. We are so blessed. We have so much to be thankful for, and sometimes circumstances around us keep us from seeing that. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be a grumpy old lady. I want to be joyous. That's what I want to be, for myself and the people who are forced to be around me. Anyway, and the way to do that is to pray and crochet and knit and read your Bible and make some bread. And you'll have a better outlook on life if you do those things. Anyway, hug somebody. That's a good thing to do. Happy Monday. Bye.